Picking up where we left off, how about you guys do number 6 right now? It crosses the B, and then you go up and over, and then shade. Oh yeah, before shading, determine if your line's solid or dotted. Go ahead and do that. I'm gonna hit pause. So where does this cross the y-axis?
At 0.
At 0 also. Okay, and what do I do from that point? Up 2 over 3. 1, 2, 3. So it's up here. And if I wanted to extend this line further, I could use that same pattern of up 2 over 3, but backwards. Over 3, down 2, over 3, down 2. And is this going to be a solid or dotted line? Solid. And how do I know it's solid? It's because there's a solid line underneath my inequality. Now I either need to shade in this part or this part. Could I use the point 0, 0? No, because it's on the line. You got to either pick one side or the other. Now you're probably thinking, which values should I pick? 1, 1.
No, pick 3, 3. So I can cancel out 1, 3.
How about what number would be nice for x?
3, 3.
Wouldn't a 0 be the best for x?
Well,
right?
I mean, who cares?
Right? So if you put 0 for x, it'll cancel out the fraction. So if you don't like fractions, you could. What I'm trying to say is you could pick a point anywhere on the y-axis. Let's pick this one right here. What is that? What is that coordinate right there? That's 0, 4, right? 0 for x, 4 for y, and it's clearly above this line. It's on this side of the line. So if this does work, I shade in the top. If it doesn't work, I shade in the other side. So when I plug in 0 for x, there's going to be a 0 right there. This whole thing's going to be 0. Plug in a 4 for y. It's going to say 4, bless you, is greater than or equal to 0. What's up with that? 4 is greater than or equal to 0, yes or no? Yes. So your answers are up there on that side. You shade in that side. Now, why are we doing this? This is all from Algebra 1. We're doing this because we are going to solve systems of inequalities. Now, what is a system of inequalities? It's just two inequalities together. The only difference from up here to down here is that you're going to do both problems on one graph. And you're going to do it very neatly, and you're going to really shade in the overlap piece. Okay? So it's not hard. Check it out. Let's look at this top equation. It says y is less than negative 3/2 x plus 2. Where does it cross the y-axis? Dos. Put a dot right there at 2. I'm going to do the top one in red, and I'll do the bottom one in blue. Okay? So the top one in red, it crosses at 2. And what do I do from that point, Jose? You go down 3 over 2. So you're going down 1, 2, 3 over 1, 2. You put a dot right there. Everybody with me?
Yeah.
Is this going to be a solid line or dotted?
Dotted.
Dotted. Okay, so I'm just going to put my dotted line like that. Put some arrows on it. Now I also need a shade. I need to test the point. 0, 0 is the best one to test. So let me do it in black right there. 0, 0 is the best one to test. So if I were to plug in 0 for y and 0 for x, which would cause this to become 0, plus 2 is going to be 2, do I get a true statement or a false statement? True statement. Let me go back and erase this before it gets locked on the screen. So this is a true statement. 0 is less than 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the sizing of my pen, and I'm going to lightly shade in this side. So if you have only a pencil, you want to do a really, really light shade, really light pencil shade on that side. And I'll tell you why light in a little bit. Because when we do the blue one,
Erase the other part.
so let's go to the blue one. The blue one crosses at -1. So let's put a dot right there. Whoa, blue, not red. Dot right there. And then from that point, what do? Up 2 over 1. And you could keep going up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. Anyways, is this going to be a solid line or a dotted line? Solid. And you could use that pattern backwards to make it longer. So I'll do a solid line right through those. Okay, so now I need to shade in either one side of the blue. It's kind of like ignoring what we did in red. We're just focusing on the blue. I still need to shade in either one side or the other side of the blue line. So again, I'm going to change it to a light blue, and I want to test the point 0, 0 once again. So if I were to plug in 0 for y and 0 for x, put a 0 right there, it's going to be 2 times 0 is 0, which is going to leave you with a minus 1. Is that a true statement or false? False. 0 is not less than negative 1. So the coordinate 0, 0 is not an answer to the blue line. So where are my answers at? On the other side. All right? Not this side, the other side. So I'm going to do, like I said, a light shade of blue on this side. Check it out. Perpendicular, light shade. Okay, now what really matters is your overlap piece. What really matters is your overlap piece. So I'm actually going to change colors. And the overlap piece is this triangle right here. So this is the only part of, this is what really matters when it comes to the solution to a system of inequalities. It's the overlap piece. So it's only this triangle that has this side being solid, this side being dotted, and this really being shaded in. Okay? On multiple choice questions, let's say on the final exam before Christmas, they're not even going to show this shading over here. They're not going to show this shading over here. They're only going to show a triangle with a solid piece and a dotted piece, and this being shaded. That's all that you need to do is shade in the overlap piece. You guys follow me?
Yeah.
Why not the other side?
But for your test, you need both sides.
The only thing you need is this piece right here. But how are you going to get this piece? By doing your red line, shading, doing your blue line, doing your blah, 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 blah. It's not working. Doing your blue line and shading this way, and then looking at where your overlap piece and shading in really dark. So if you don't have different colored pens, you want to do this with the pencil lightly, do this with the pencil lightly, and where you see the overlap, then you could really shade it in right there with your pencil. Okay? Let's flip this over and check out our homework. Here we are on the back side of the worksheet. Let's do a couple of these. Pick one. 4.
9. Well, what's the fraction?
17.
3.
No, number 6.
4 is 4.
Let's go with 6.
So what?
Number 6. So let's go with the top one in red and the bottom one in blue. So if I wanted to get this in slope-intercept form, I'd have to add 3 and add 3. So my top equation will be y equals, or not y equals, I'm sorry. Y is less than negative 2/3 x plus 3. And my other equation, let's go with blue. If I wanted to get y by itself, well, I'd first have to subtract 4 and subtract 4. This one's a little bit fun. So if I rewrite this thing, it's going to say 2y. Keep in mind that this is already separate right there. So 2y is less than, if you're reading it backwards, 6x minus 4. So what I would do next at this point is divide by 2 and divide everything by 2. So let me rewrite that by dividing everything by 2 up here on the side. And I would have a 3x if I divided the 6x by 2, a minus 2 if I divided the minus 4 by 2, and also a greater than symbol and a y. Is everybody with me? And for my final step, what I would do is simply take this side and flip them. I would flip them. Now that is a little bit tricky because when you put the y on this side and the 3x minus 2 on that side, you have to keep the same respect as your original inequality. In other words, it was opening up. It was opening up to the 3x minus 2. It has to continue opening up to the 3x minus 2. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay, so what we really have is a red inequality that's ready to graph, and we also have a blue inequality that's ready to graph. So let's get going with the red. The red one crosses where? 3. And, whoa, what do I do from that point? Down 2, right 1, 2, 3. There it is. You guys with me? It's going to be a solid line or dotted? and I need a shade. Let's test the point 0, 0 on the red line. Now keep in mind, you could put 0 here and 0 there on this slope-intercept form equation, or if you wanted to, you could go to the original, plug in a 0 for the y, a 0 for the x, and you could do it on the original. Since I'm already up here, I want to do it on the original. 0 for y is going to give me a negative 3. 0 for x is going to give me a 0. So is negative 3 less than 0? Yes, it is. So 0, 0 does work, so I would shade in the bottom. Now let's say you wanted to use the y equals mx plus b equation. All right, plug in 0. Let me change colors here. Plug in 0 for y and 0 for x. You'll get 0 is less than 3. That's also true. So 0, 0 is a solution. So you're just going to do a couple of lines from that dotted line. Okay, now let's go to the blue. The blue one crosses where? Negative 2. So it crosses at negative 2 down here. And what do I do from that point? You go up 3, 1, 2, 3, over 1. And you could go up 1, 2, 3 again, over 1. Is this going to be a solid or dotted? Also dotted. And now you either need to shade in this side of the blue line or this side of the blue line by testing a point. I want to test 0, 0 again because 0, 0 is clearly on this side of the line. It's not on the line, it's on the upper left hand side of this line. So let's test the point 0, 0 on the blue. So 0 for y and 0 for x is going to give us a negative 2 on the right side. Is 0 less than negative 2? No, false. So your answers are not right here at 0, 0. It didn't work. Your answers are on the other side of the blue. So the other side of the blue is right here. And now you got to really shade in the overlap piece. Now the overlap piece I'm doing a different color. So you really are talking about this triangle right here that has both sides of the triangle being dotted. This is disgusting. But I hope you guys could see this is my solution, the overlap piece here to here.